very good evening and a warm welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. And tonight we're looking at what's happening around the world, the crisis the different nations are facing, and the same things that are happening at home: conflict, violence, migration for whatever reason, disasters. For example, just now in the Elgon region where we have mudslides, in the Rwenzori region where we have flooding, and so on. So today we're speaking about lost connections, and we're joined in the studio by a team from the Uganda Red Cross. I'll very quickly introduce them. Right next to me is Mr. Abel Nwamanya, who is the program manager for restoration of family links, and at the extreme end in the Red Cross shirt is Florence Nalubowa, who is the program officer, restoration of family links. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Welcome.
Great. So we'll quickly get into our conversation. Well, first of all, in school we all heard about the Uganda Red Cross Society. We see it on TV in times of disaster. But what else covers your mandate? What do you do? What is the Red Cross there to do?
Yeah, thank you for that good question. Red Cross, the Red Cross movement has a family. We have the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent. We have International Committee of the Red Cross, and we have the national societies, which are the Red Cross societies across the countries, the whole world. It's a Red Cross network, and we are involved in a number of activities, especially, put it right, especially in disasters, where we have to rescue, provide first aid for people, the victims of these disasters, as well as we also restore contact of those who have lost contact with their loved ones. For instance, a husband could be in a different district when a disaster happens, and by the time he comes, he doesn't know where to meet or to get their relatives. Which
is what we'll be talking about for this show. Yes.
And also in terms of disasters, for example, the mudslides, up to now people in Bududa are going for pilgrimages to the sites where people were buried by the soils, the debris of the rocks, and they are no more. So this we help people to trace for the dead ones, and we also evacuate those ones who are affected to safer places, and also to health services to get support and care in the health facilities. Then we mobilize for support relief items with the support of the partners and the Office of the Prime Minister.
Abel, it looks like most of the work you do is after the event, after the thing has happened. Do you do any work before a disaster?
Yes, we do. There is early warning with the effects of the climate change, where we inform. We're working with the climate change site for the Office of the Prime Minister, where we always even warn the population of the outcome and the meteorological center of the predictions that come with the floods, with the likely disasters that will happen to these areas. We inform the population, and we have our Red Cross network, our volunteers in these communities who go around disseminating to them, to tell them of the likely disaster that might happen to them, so that they are prepared. When
you look at, for example, the whole of Uganda, you can't be everywhere, or are you everywhere in the sense that something happens and the Red Cross was on hand already to help? If we have maybe floods even here in Kampala or somewhere, how quickly can the Red Cross get there, and how do you get your information early enough to be relevant?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. We have 51 branches across the country. We have 400,000 volunteers for the Red Cross, and you can as well be 400,000 volunteers.
Okay.
Yeah, you can as well be part of the volunteers because at the end of the day, it's the people that are affected, and the volunteers are from within us as a community. Then the moment any disaster happens, through our networks of volunteers, we always get this information. We do assessments on the damage that has been caused by the flood. if there are any lives that have been lost, if there are any people that need evacuation, then that's when we have even our emergency ambulance services or medical services that come in to evacuate those that need to be taken to hospital. Then those who are missing, maybe floods have washed them away, the families are informed, and together with the other government agencies, the police, the search goes on for the missing people.
Florence, set the stage for us. What normally happens in times of disaster, conflict? Where is the Red Cross engaged? How do you come in? So, for example, we have a conflict in a neighboring country, and how does Uganda Red Cross participate there when you have refugees coming here? Or how, let's use a simpler example of a disaster happens, and I think that's what Abel was starting to speak to. Where is the Red Cross engaged directly? Share with us the particulars.
Okay, thank you very much. What we normally do, if a war or a conflict happens in a neighboring country, we do receive people coming in from the other country to Uganda. What we do, we register them as Red Cross. The team on the ground, let me say, at the transit center, we register them, and we normally offer a phone call service in case they have a contact of their loved ones. Sometimes they may be in the need of calling someone in Uganda who is already in Uganda or back home. Sometimes they may want to tell this person in Uganda that I'm in Uganda and I'm safe.
Okay.
And what we normally do, we register them, and we do help in tracing the loved ones in case they are missing. Someone may come in, but they say that maybe I lost a contact for my sister and I don't know where my sister could be. So what we do, we offer a Red Cross message.
So, for example, the example that Abel gave of a man is in a different district when something happens back home, and he now has to start finding his wife and children.
Yes.
What happens there?
We do offer a phone call if at all the man has a phone, a number, but we do offer a Red Cross message if they don't have a contact.
What does that message look like?
The message, it has the details of the names and the address where the other person could be. Maybe if you say that my person is in Kamocha, you write the letter addressing it to Kamocha. So what will Red Cross do? The letter will come to us, or will go to wherever the person could be, and we address the letter to the Red Cross the other side.
So they start looking for that person?
Yes.
Okay. Abel, could you share with us figures on what the situation looks like here in Uganda in terms of missing persons and the work that the Red Cross does?
Apparently, to supplement what Florence was saying, we have 1.5 million refugees in Uganda who are apparently in Uganda that are in need of searching or tracing for their loved ones, and we offer a number of options. Where they have a phone contact that can go through, we use that. Then when they don't have any phone contact, then we use what we call the last known address. For example,
hold on, you said refugees in Uganda, internally displaced persons?
There are also internally displaced persons. These are when we talk about the floods in Bududa.
Okay.
We are talking about the floods also in the Elgon region and mudslides, where you find at times there's a situation where we found in Bundbujo, a mother was in a camp searching for a son who was in a different camp, and they took about like 3-4 months without knowing where the other was, and it's in the same district. Bundbujo is not a big district, but you can imagine how it feels like for a parent missing even 5 minutes or 10 minutes, not knowing where your child is, the thoughts you have whether they are washed away by the floods or buried by the soil that came up the mountains. We have children who come alone. War breaks out there at school, they run in different directions where they see people running too. Then they end up arriving in Uganda without their parents. Imagine these are children who are 8, 10, below the age of 18 and they're in a foreign country and they are starting life and they don't know how to go about it. So we always identify such children, register them, get to know the details of their parents. Then we start the tracing process back home in Congo to find out where the parents are alive or they have been victims of fatalities during the war. But we continue the process. This is a process. It's not that we give timeline that it will be in 1 week or 2, but through the Red Cross network, like I told you, around the globe, you might find maybe the parent ran to Burundi and the child ran in a different direction, like to Uganda. So we contact our Red Cross network in Congo. Then at times they get some information that the person we are searching for is in Burundi. Then we start also to contact the Burundi colleagues until we get the person, the person we are looking for. We don't close cases, but still we also offer psychosocial support to these children, refer them to other agencies that are giving support like education, scholastic materials, food, and the like. This is done in conjunction with other partners that work with the refugees as well.
You've spoken quite a bit about children, and I'm wondering if we have any numbers for children that are either missing or whose families are looking for them.
Yeah, when you look at the population in the settlements, the majority, in the refugee camps for that matter, the majority are women and children. It happens that during war, it's women that always run for safety, or the men have gone far away from their homes to search for food and livelihood for the children and families. You tend to find children coming first and their mothers, or children alone. So you find, I would put it that about 50% of the population, 50-70% are women and children in these refugee settlements, because that's the most affected population that approach us as the Red Cross, and we always find ways of supporting them. When there are children that were studying back home, we always write back to their home countries through our Red Cross network to get their academic certificate so that they can continue with their education. If there are people who have their documents back home and they need to look for a job in Uganda, we request through their relatives, we write a message back home to their relatives who can transmit these documents through the Red Cross network, and we get them the documents so that they can find an employment. Uganda has a very good refugee policy which allows them to move, to work, to have education, to access services like any other citizen in Uganda, which is a good thing. But in terms of Uganda, we have a population of 67% are children. According to the national child policy, and of which 47.8 or 48 are children below the age of 5, which puts a burden on the government as well and other players and other actors. So you find, like in areas like Karamoja, where you find most of the children on the street. It's as a result, and some of them cross across to other countries like Kenya, Sudan, in search of livelihood. They migrate, and others are trafficked because like it has been on media, these children at times don't go on their own. It's as a result of other factors at home. Some communities are practicing FGM, which leads to girls to run from home because they are fearing these unsafe practices to them. Then domestic violence at home, which leads to some of these children running away from home. And where do they end up? They end up in the wrong hands of people who really manipulate them and take them out of the country, and they end up in foreign countries, exploited and abused. Some of them miss completely because in Karamoja recently we were there, and parents don't know where their children are, and they're really yearning to know what is the fate of their children and where they could be.
But I feel like you were picking at my notes, because I was going to ask you, I think when we speak about conflict and war, and those things feel far removed from an ordinary person who is sitting at home watching the show. But when you start breaking it down to domestic violence and things that are happening in our homes, I think we take for granted the ripple effects of conflict, even that kind of conflict that's in the homes, and how much it affects children to the point of running away. So it's important to know that the Red Cross is working in that space as well, and not just for the bigger issues of wars and so on. I wanted to ask if you could share with us, maybe Florence, some of the stories or experiences, perhaps the most recent experience that you've encountered that can help us to further understand what we are speaking about in terms of lost connections.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a story of the child who was reunited with the family. The girl was in Kenya, and she was taken by a friend to look for a job in Kenya. And when she reached there, she couldn't get a job, and she was stranded. And so Kenya Red Cross contacted Uganda Red Cross in regard for that case. And when we were contacted, we had to go to Moroto, where the child comes from, and we interviewed the parents, and the child was rescued from Kenya. Uganda Red Cross picked the child from the Busia border to Uganda.
When you keep saying child who was taken to go and work, I'm wondering what's the age bracket we are speaking about?
Yeah, she's 14 years. She was taken by, when they're in the teenage years, the needs they have, sanitary wear and all that, and family is not taking care of them, fears of FGM, abuse and all that, and with this exacerbated by the COVID pandemic. So girls remain vulnerable. Anyone who calls them that here you have an opportunity in this and this place, they always, gullible, they go ahead to follow these people. So in case of this child, she was lied by a friend who took her, abandoned her in Kenya in a camp, a refugee camp called Kakuma. So the girl was abandoned and stuck. The next thing is she ran to the authorities. So the authorities contacted Kenya Red Cross, and that's how the story started. Kenya Red Cross picked the information. They shared with us the information about this girl, about her parents, about her relatives. So we went to Moroto, searched for this girl. So through the search, we found the problem is bigger, and even parents were saying, please, we also have our children who are missing. The district authority, the RDC, the probation office, they were all talking about this same problem. And we have the Red Cross network around that border, the Ergon region, even up to Mbare. We are having parents reporting children missing, and the destination they go to is Kenya for economic migration, for trafficking, some of them, for different reasons. And some of them, the pull factor is when some of them who manage to return, come back with some food, new clothes, it becomes a pull factor for these young ones who don't have clothes to move. So it's really a big challenge which needs a concerted effort, both government and other partners to support the policy. The policy is there, and the national child policy is there. That was concluded in 2020, which is a good one.
I see you holding it there.
Yes, it's here. It's a very good document. And the implementation plan, it's also here. But the only challenge is resources.
I was going to say implementation.
Yes. Yeah, the implementation, it's here. A very good document. I participated in this process. It's elaborate. But when you look at it, the implementation requires $234 billion for the 5 years. Yes, which is a lot of money.
Did you say $1 billion?
Yes, billion. It's here. It's in the document here. The money required for 5 years, 2020 to 2025.
Thank you so much, Abel, and thank you, Florence. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We are coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, the NTV Uganda studios, and tonight we're speaking about the lost connection, and I'm here with officials from the Uganda Red Cross Society. From what we're speaking about, I picked up on a number of things, but one of them, kids leaving the country to go and find, an income somewhere else. But then we also have young adults going to the UAE and other countries to find work. Do these ever cross your desk? Do you ever have families calling and saying, we think perhaps she left to go abroad to work, and what's the process there?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Majority of these people who cross, they go through immigration, and their families get to know where they are going, and that is a clear cut. However, when they get challenges, they get in touch with the embassy in the other country. We've not come across such cases coming to us as a Red Cross, but what we've come across is these cases of children.
Okay.
Mainly that are having challenges in their homes, and knowing Karamoja having a number of challenges, or Elgon region, including mudslides and the like.
They run away.
They run
to
away
find
from
help.
Yeah, to find help.
What does because I'm imagining a child. So, for example, the example that you shared, Florence, a child stuck in Kenya dealing with a different life and everything that comes with it, and eventually she's brought back to her community, his or her community. What does reintegration look like? How prepared are the families to receive them and not just chastise them and make them feel, you know, like running away once again? But also, what does mental health help look like for them? Is the Red Cross team equipped to be able to talk the families through this process, even as you search for the children? Is the Red Cross equipped to speak to the children as, you know, when you find them and you're trying to help the situation? What does that look like?
During the process, we do talk to the families. We prepare. We prepare the child, and we prepare the family where we are bringing the child. So during the preparation, that's when we, through the talking and guiding, that's when we know that now the family is set and ready. Because we don't bring the child anyhow and dump the child in the family. No, we have to first consult.
They ran away for a reason.
Yes. We have to, that's why we talk to them. We have to first consult them. If they are willing to receive, you may bring the child back home when the child is not willing to settle.
So if a child is not willing, what happens?
Yeah, if they don't, then we leave them and look at we are looking at the best interest of the child.
Okay.
That's the principle that guides us, and it's under even the child policy and also in the Children's Act, and the Constitution of Uganda is clear on the rights of children. So the best interest of the child is what we look at. Remember, these children to run away from their home. Home is the safest place. Home is the place that is a safe haven for every child. So the reason that the triggers that take this child away are the things that we try to address. If need be, for us, we can recommend to other agencies that offer psychosocial support to support the family and also these children. But for us, we offer the basics. Like in the case of this child that we brought back from Kenya, we agreed with our counterpart in Kenya to have a psychologist who came with her, is a therapist, who came with her all the way. And before even we received her, we had to do a teleconference, a Zoom call with the mother back home, so that they talk and she's confident and she knows that she's in safe hands. And people,
do you follow up after that to make sure that
yes, we do follow up.
Posturing?
Yes. Yeah, we do post family reunification follow-ups to ensure that the child is integrating in well.
Okay.
You know, some of these children who run away from home, why they even these kids that are picked and go back to where they have come from, is that when they reach home, they have lost touch with the home. They are no longer fitting in. So those are some of the processes, which is a gap now that government could look at. For example, startup kits for these children, youth groups, and all those things that would support them. For instance, when we were reuniting this child, we gave her a package of clothes and some food for the family, so that at the end of the day, the integration gets better and she integrates in well.
When we speak about the circumstances that bring about the issue of missing children, and it looks like now we've gone in the direction of just missing children. We've spoken about population migration movement, we've spoken about natural disasters and conflict. Are there other instances, for example, big days back then before COVID-19, when we'd have people gather? So if Uganda Matters Day, 3rd June, and someone's child is separated from them somehow, or people are walking from one region to come to Kampala for, you know, the celebrations, and again there's separation there. Are there other times when children are separated from their parents and the Uganda Red Cross comes in to support? So maybe kids abandoned, police calling in.
Yeah, we do support, especially on these big days. Uganda Matters Day is one of the typical good example where people converge from different parts of the world and countries neighboring us and even districts, where we set up a tent at the Matters Shrine where we handle such cases of the missing children, and the majority of these cases have ended up turning out positive, tracing for, meaning positive, meaning identifying or finding their relatives and families they are looking for, so as long as we get them in time and we announce. Because I find these children are as young as 1 month, 2 months, even, you know, it's really, and by the time you identify the mother, she's really traumatized because she doesn't know where to start from. Some of these it's their first time to even move to Kampala and to such an area, but we also support in that in such situation, and also whenever other partners get cases that they feel they fall within our mandate, then they always contact us and offer the support we can.
Okay. Are the services free, Florence, or do families have to part with some money to get the support of the society?
All our services are free of charge. We don't charge even a single coin.
So what's the process of if one of my persons goes missing? What do I do? Where do I start from?
What you do, if someone goes missing from, let me say, where you came from, you always come to us. We can always write a letter. We note down few points from you, because we start from you. You have to give us the information. You feed us the information, but we just know that the information, whichever information you give us, is confidential. We don't share.
Okay, so then my next question is, where does so I know you work with the Uganda police as well. So if someone goes missing, do I go to the Uganda police? Yes. And then they bring the Red Cross in?
Yes. If someone goes missing within the country, what we do, we always first refer you to the police, because you have to start with the police. We ask you, have you ever visited police? If no, we always refer you to the police. You report the case there, and you get a file number, and you come to us. What we do, we normally pin the name. And in different organizations, we work with different partners. We work with as we search for that missing person.
Right.
Yeah, it's at times also police, like children who are abandoned, they always also contact us. And what we do normally, like what she's said in the context of the population, the nationals here, but when it also comes to refugees, we always, the information we pick from you, it helps us to trace or to find the person you're looking for across the country you're looking for. And the more precise information you give us, the more accurate we can reach the person you want us to reach. But due to war, you find some areas are not reachable. You find where you're referring us to, maybe it's a battle area or zone where also our volunteers can't reach. But we keep on searching until we get the person that you're looking for.
For children as young as, you mentioned 1 month, a 1-month-old baby, is the society equipped to be able to take care of that child if a mother is missing for 3 months? And also, how do you ensure that you are handing these children back to the right people?
Like in Namgongo, for instance, if we pick a child of 1 month, I personally one time picked a child of 1 month. But what we did, a man brought the child to me, and he was like, Red Cross, this is your work. What I did, I wrote I went I went down, and I had to announce. They said that Red Cross has some information to share with you, and I had to announce that I have an abandoned child of 1 month. I think the child could be 1 month, and if a mother is there or a father, please come to our tent. And then I go to the police.
Isn't it dangerous when you give that much information? Because somebody who has always wanted a child you'll find so many people showing up for...
Of course, I can't just handle that. I can't just hand over the child to someone who comes in. That's why I said we go to the police.
Okay.
So what we do, we involve police. When we involve police, then police, when this person comes to us, of course, I'll go with you where the police is.
There are other factors you can ask to verify if this child is, but in the refugee situation, we have not, because these ones who are fleeing, they come on their own walking. We've not really had such a situation, but at times these are temporary, we could call them temporary separation, because we've not had a Mother's Day closing and we are staying with a child for more than that. Then that's when it is, if more than that, then that's when other players come in, and you might find this child even going to Sanyu Baby's home.
Because I was going to ask who is going to feed the child and milk and so on and so on.
That's why you'll find, in that case, worst case scenario, you'll find a child going to a child's home, children's home, like the Sanyu Baby's home.
I'm just thinking of essential things, milk for children, sanitary towels for girls and so on and so on. All right, let's take another short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, NTV Uganda studios. And tonight we're speaking about lost connections. What do you do when your loved one goes missing, children especially, and you need the support to get them home, especially in times of conflict and other difficult situations. And we're speaking to officials from the Uganda Red Cross. Abel and Florence, we sometimes look at the Red Cross, especially when we see you on TV carrying people, you know, we want to put a slow motion effect and just look at our superheroes running and saving the day. But we know even superheroes face challenges. So I want to know, what has made your work that much harder? Where are the gaps, and how do we, well, how does the government or all of us come in to support the work that you do?
Okay, thank you for that good question. These, as I said earlier, that the Red Cross volunteers are members of the public who are always in these communities where these events happen. You've seen in riots, people running with kids, rescuing them. At times you find married people, injured people, and they need ambulance to be transported to hospitals and the like. There are times we don't have all the resources, but through partners and government, we always offer the services that we can afford to offer, including emergency medical services, where we have the ambulances that these are supported by Ministry of Health and the government in general and other partners. And we also have trained personnel that always offer these services, but as you know, they are not enough. That we have many, in case it happens in Budud, it happens in Kasese, it happens in Kampala and everywhere. But as Red Cross, like I've told you, through our network of volunteers of about over 400,000 volunteers and the staff and partners, we have managed to support. But that calls in for more support to the Red Cross by partners and government to ensure that the Red Cross can effectively offer better services and be everywhere and support people who are in need, especially those that need emergency medical services in cases of disasters. COVID is another nightmare that has really affected all of us, where we'll have to evacuate patients from the community. It's good now we have the community, the home-based care, which is a good thing, but before, where everyone was supposed to be referred to hospital, it became a bit of a challenge. But we are grateful to government and partners that have continued to support the Red Cross, and we also encourage them to continue supporting the Red Cross to ensure that we fulfill the mandate.
I was going to ask you, where is the Uganda Red Cross in the COVID-19 response? And you've sort of answered it. But then that brings me to the question of your 400,000 plus volunteers. What kind of training do they receive? And when we are speaking about situations like the COVID-19 response, that's a delicate situation. It is unlike floods and other disasters, because this one you have social distancing, you have to have your mask on and so on and so on. What training do the volunteers receive, and how do you determine when they are called upon, what situations they can handle and what situations require just a smaller team of the Uganda Red Cross that has possibly undergone much more training than me, an outsider who just comes in, randomly?
Yeah, we have trainings done, specialized trainings under the guidance of Ministry of Health and WHO that are given to health workers or people responding to COVID situation, which is given to all the volunteers. We have infection prevention control training. We have the protection, the PPE. Yeah, training how to don off the equipment, the protective gear, and and also the first aid, emergency health services, and we have also specialized and trained qualified personnel, the medical personnel that handle in some of these areas that are delicate. What we have, some of the community volunteers, we are working under what we call the community engagement strategy. It's a national strategy by government of Uganda, where we do risk communication, and where even when people have COVID in the community, we pick the information. Our volunteers work with the village health teams. So this information is referred to the right channels, from the village health teams to the health centers, the health center 2s and 3s, to the health center 4s, to the hospital. So we work through that channel, the government, what we call the community engagement strategy, which is up to the village level. And that's how our intervention and interaction goes in as the Red Cross. And where there is need to handle emergency cases that are referred, we have the emergency medical services, where we have well-equipped ambulances with the trained personnel that come to evacuate this patient that needs further management in hospital. Okay. And also tracing of the patients that are already in the community. We do it through our team in coordination with the health centers, the village health teams.
Okay. Yeah. But heeding to your call earlier of me joining the 400,000 volunteers that are out there, I think my question is, and you mentioned the different trainings, infection prevention, and so on and so on. Yeah. Do all of your 400,000 have they undergone these trainings? If we see a Red Cross volunteer, I don't know what they look like. They'll possibly be
you always find them in our reflector jackets for the Red Cross. Okay. Yeah.
Are we to trust that they've all undergone training? Are we to trust that they're able to handle the situation?
Yeah, they are, and as I've said, we have 51 branches. They're under branches. They're under leadership of a branch. So where they are trained, and when they are to be deployed, they're informed and briefed on what is expected on them. And they will always deploy those ones who have that specialized or specific training in that area. Not everyone that will be deployed.
All right.
Yeah.
Florence, we were speaking earlier about blood, and I was asking people around here when they last donated blood, and I know the Red Cross is often comes up when we speak about blood donation, and I wanted you to make a call. Do we have enough blood?
What I'll say, we don't have enough blood, and we work hand in hand with blood bank. What we do as Red Cross, we mobilize people, and I'm mobilizing everyone there who is willing to donate blood. Let them come, because sometimes we set tents where the activity is going to take place. If they are out there and they find where the blood is going, the blood donation is happening, at least let them be there and they collect blood, because we really need blood.
Blood is not, we don't have a machine that manufactures blood or trees that grow blood. Blood is from human beings, and in spirit of humanity, you might be your sister, your loved one that would need blood. So if you are faced with such a situation, you also need blood. So in times when you're okay, it's always good to go ahead and donate blood to save a life. So it's in spirit of humanity and in the spirit of supporting fellow Ugandans or human beings. Please, let's go out and donate. We all need blood, and blood comes from human beings. Thank you.
Okay, I thought it was important for us to make that call now that we have the opportunity. But going back now to the children and displacement, and losing the connections with your loved ones, where have you gained ground? If you could just summarize the gains that you can point a finger to.
We have the recent reunification, of where we have reunited this young girl to the mother and the family in Karamoja, and we handed over to the district for the public to know that we don't work in isolation. We work together with the public, We worked together with the government. Immigration was involved. The office of the RDC was involved. The CDO, the probation officer, the child protection welfare officer at the Uganda Police was involved as this child was being handed over. And we've also gone ahead to have meetings with them to see how best can we support these children, and that's where we've even got to know more about what are the challenges of these children so that we can holistically address them. Okay. We are happy government has gone ahead and drafted good policies and the implementation plan on child protection and policy implementation, so which is a good thing, a good start. Okay. And it's holistic and it touches all these areas. So it's that's one thing that we have gained ground, and we feel it's still work in progress. We need to do more as public, as families, as government, as civil societies, religious leaders, and NGOs. Then also on the refugee front, we have managed to reunite children with their parents, those who were in need of education or academic certificate. They have managed to get them and continue with their studies.
I like that aspect a lot, because not many people think about that. If you come here to a new country, you have to start afresh, but it's difficult to start afresh when all your documentation is back home, or if it was destroyed. Or,
So we've managed to do that. Those who had their degree certificates and they have tried to look for a job and they want to work, we've done that. We've also referred these documents for equation at the ministry, UNEB, so that, and even other institutions, so that these people, their documents are equated and they continue with their studies.
And again, this is free?
Yes, it's free of charge. Our services are free of charge. We've also done the photo tracing, because you might find that this child cannot explain himself or herself. She's too young or he's too young. So, and we know that maybe this is a refugee from South Sudan. So we put what we call photo tracing. We put these pictures in the booklets and share them with the other settlements around neighboring the country, neighboring Uganda.
Just to be clear, we ensure due diligence is done before a child is okay.
Exactly.
Florence, I would like you to share your closing remarks. What do you want us to take home from this conversation?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate, and I call upon, let me just call upon people to donate more blood, because blood is needed.
Abel, in 1 minute, your closing remarks. What do you want us to take home?
Yeah, what I would, the take home is we call upon all stakeholders, especially government and partners, to support the child protection issues, because children are the most affected, and women. We need to look at issues of gender equality, women empowerment, stopping violence, domestic violence. It's led to breakage of homes, and we're having children running away even to other countries, foreign countries, because as a result of domestic violence. So I call upon everybody and also stakeholders to support this child policy, the national policy, and also funding the activities that they are in.
Over 200 billion shillings.
Yeah, it's over 273 billion Ugandan shillings, and it's a lot of money. And this will support to see the children off the street, will support to see children have access to a better education, will support to stop these economic migrants, because we know teenage girls are leaving and running away from home to go into these other activities that are in foreign countries as a result of the needs they have.
Why aren't the boys running, I must ask?
The boys, I think they tend to find coping mechanism. In Karamoja, they go into the mines and start mining, they start herding and all that. But girls, according to our cultures, they tend to be kept at home, and yet they cannot access what they need, so which is a trigger to leading them leave and go and search for what economic livelihood and also needs they have.
All right, thank you very much. Abel Nuamanya, who is the program manager at Restoration of Family Links, Florence Naluwa, who is the program officer, Restoration of Family Links. I must say this has been very insightful. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with us.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Thank you for watching. Coming up is NTV Weekend Edition.